Good morning. Welcome to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman Bergeron. And I'm on about a minute early. Just want to set the resonance with my bowls and welcome you all with good vibrations. Don't know how much of this you can hear, but if you can hear that, just breathe it in. Know that today's show is, the title is Love is Who We Are. And I'm going to wait a few minutes to see if anybody can hear me. Good morning, Parani. If somebody can give me a heads up that my sound is working, I would appreciate that. I've had that technical difficulty once before. And okay, I've got thumbs up coming, so obviously I can be heard. And so I will begin. It's always a pleasure to be here on Friday mornings. I look forward to it, and I look for. Thank you, Amanda. Great job. Thank you, and Deanna. And it's always a joy for me to be here and do this show. It's part of my heart and soul to express what comes up for me with all of you. I've been on this journey for 27 years, and I've spoken to a lot of people personally, and Presence of Light Show and Humanity Healing has given me an opportunity to speak to thousands of people around the world. And that's an honor and a privilege, and I thank Humanity Healing and for their kindness, their compassion, and for the work that they've done over the years. They were one of my mentors in the beginning when I had nobody that made any sense to me. So with that completed, today's topic is Love is Who We Are. And it's funny how I arrived at that as I awoke, as I always do, and I say thank you. Thank you. I come open with a statement of gratitude for being present here on this planet, in this physical body, and knowing that whatever comes of the day, I have the choice of embracing it and looking at it from a place of love, or I can look at it from a place of despair and disaster. And I have that sovereign choice. So this morning, it was really about a mixture of emotions in the world as I started reading social media, my email, etc. And I came upstairs and I grabbed a book by Eli Ciara, who wrote, there's a series of books. He's a mystic, and it was called The Wondrous Journey. And I just opened to a page and said, Spirit, guide me. And it talked about love. And if I can grab the book, it's in, it was just titled The Wondrous Journey into the Depth of Our Being. And it was about love. So a lot of what I'm speaking has been taken, readapted. Some of it is part of his message and also mixed with my message. Good morning, Chandler. Good morning, Carol, Judy. I'm going to see if I can recognize some of you as we go along. So, as I wrote at the top of this, love has no motives. It knows no fear. Our perception of love has been from a human perspective. And that's not wrong or incorrect, but it's not the truth. Love really exists with or without humans. Love is an energy. It's the divine energy of creation. And I can't explain it on that level because I can't understand it at that level. And I'm not going to try. And I'm not going to say that I can. But love has no real purpose. When we think of purpose, we think about, what are we going to do? I have a purpose. And lately we've been all asked to look inside of our hearts and ask ourselves, what is that purpose? What is our purpose here? What do we feel our purpose is? And to start to align with it and bring it forth and express ourselves into that. So there's a communication both ways, expressing ourselves outwardly and attracting the field to us. Love is also, it's not a state of excitement. And for us humans, it is exciting to be in love, as we call it. We feel that emotion. But it's not an emotion. It's beyond that. That's how it's expressing itself to us in these physical bodies. Morning, Renee and Ethel. We can think about love, or we can be love. And I want to talk about being love rather than thinking about it. When we think about love, we are using the mind, and when we are love, we become who we truly are. So I have a new thing here. I have my iPad here and my notes that I wrote this morning, and that was total chaos. My laptop wouldn't work, this wouldn't work, that wouldn't work, etc., etc., etc. So it's always fun when I have something that I don't really know how important it is to speak about, and then the chaos picks up on it, and it is important. So it validates why I'm here. The more chaos I find in my field and resistance, the more I know I'm on purpose. I'm doing my thing. So these are little tips and hints that I ask you to look at within yourselves. They're sort of my synchronicities, my little tips and hints that have helped me stay in alignment with the love that I am and the purpose that I embrace, which is to anchor peace, light, and love into all living forms. As long as I'm physically here, and even when I'm not physically here, that was my purpose anyway. So this reflection on love today is really about who and what we truly are. I want you to think about that not as an expression of, do I have a romantic partner? Do I have a partner? Do I have, a romance going on? Am I excited sensually and sexually? That's beautiful. But I want to talk about the love that you are, because you and I are part of this. We're part of love. We are an expression of love. And that is beyond our physical being. And so I wrote this morning, most of the love we experience as humans is a reflection of love, just as most of us are a reflection of who and what we truly are. And reflections are basically mirror images. And they're something that appear as something, but they're not real. They're not capable of holding any energetic form, let alone the original energetic form. So when we look into a mirror, what do we see? We see a reflection of ourselves. I often go to the mirror in the past couple of years and speak to that being in the mirror. And I speak to it knowing that that is a reflection of who I am. I am not this physical body, nor is that physical body that's represented in the mirror really who I am. It's not the truth of who I am. It's an image of who I am. It's, some will call it your avatar. It's your presence in physical form. who I am and who we are really takes us deeper into our hearts. And as we see in the world around us in this chaos, the chaos has risen because the power of love has risen. And so it moves in somewhat of a syncopated pattern. However, at this point, love is overcoming the chaos and actually pushing it away. How do I call it? Dissipating it, transforming, transmuting it. We don't see it and register it as deeply as it's happening, partly because we don't understand the power of love, the true power of love, and the power of light as well. These are balancing right now the energies of the planet, as well as the universe. The universe is really out of balance as well. And so all of this balancing is happening. In the midst of all of this, we are love. And there's more of us here on this planet than there ever have been. So therefore there's more love here in truth. It may not be expressing as love in our human conception of love, but there is actually more love on this planet now than ever before. Part of what I do is try to shift your conscious awareness into positive aspects rather than always looking at the negative aspects. And you don't have to believe me. You don't have, you can think I'm crazy, you can call me names. It's all good. It's perfect, because this is what's happening. We're beginning to really get in touch with the truth of who we are, the truth that has been hidden from us, hidden in plain sight, but nevertheless hidden from us. And now it's time for us to be truth, the truth of who we are. So we're going to be love. I also wrote that we're at a point in our evolution where we are becoming physically able to hold the true energy of love and experience it in its divine state of perfection. Love needs no improvement. There is nothing wrong with love. There never has been. All that's improper or incorrect is our perception of it and how are we expressing it? Who's responsible for that? We are. We're responsible. And this is what's happening. Truth is requiring us to express itself. And we're each one of us learning this some of us in little steps, and some of us are getting hit real heavy and real hard emotionally. But that process is a process of, the words coming, recovery. We're recovering from a long sleep. We're waking up from a long nap. I'm thinking of Rip Van Winkle's coming in as I see him laying up against the tree. We've been asleep. We've been dreaming. We've been living in illusions that we've created only because we were lost on some level, somehow, some way. And it doesn't matter the way it happened. The most important thing is that we're awakening right now, and we're returning to this dimension with love. So it's on some levels a dimensional shift we've gone through, and we're still going through. And we are the ones who have chosen to be here at this time and be part of this. I don't like the word correction, but this, how do I want to say? I don't want misalignment. Give me another word, kids. This misperception, okay, this is all we're living in, is a misperception No harm, no foul. We got lost. In the end, I'll talk about the navigators and where how they got incorrect information, etc. So we're experiencing truth, and it's revealing many uncomfortable aspects of ourselves. And our mirror image, that mirror person in the mirror, when I look at the screen, I see myself. That's not who I am. Who you see me on the screen isn't me. This person right here is. The person speaking, the one whose voice is bringing through the energy, who's transmitting this energy from my heart in alignment with my mind. The mind isn't doing this. The heart is. And this is what we're trying to get a hold of and trying to express more and more every day in our lives, is speaking from the heart. Allowing the brain to gather the information so that we can speak in a coherent manner, but let's speak our truth. The truth lives here in the heart. And so it's love is the divine love is returning to the dimensions, and we're the ones who are the welcoming committee. And that's a nice thought, to think of ourselves as a welcoming committee for love. At least I think it's a nice thought. And how we do it is going to be uniquely different. Each one of us are going to do it in just a little bit of difference. And that's what makes it so beautiful. It's like a flower. Each petal is just a little different. Every blade of grass is just a little different. They all look the same. They all feel the same when we touch them or when they touch us. But there's a difference. That uniqueness is you as an expression of love. You are unique. There is no one else on this planet like you. We look alike, we talk alike, we act alike, hopefully not in a bad way. We mimic each other, we do all of these things, but each one of us is uniquely and divinely unique. And it is only our ego that has the problem. And my note was, we have one huge problem, Houston, and it's named the ego. So this ego we talk about and we study, and psychologists and psychiatrists talk about it, philosophers talk about it, poets talk about it, we all talk about it, is this construct of energy, which is part of our survival system. Okay, it's ancient. It's ancient. It's the first incarnation of humanity on the planet had to have an operating system in order for it to survive in the physical vehicle. So the ego was part of that system. The ego, unfortunately, over our evolutionary years, has forgotten love and has had a problem with true love because it received more power than it could truly handle, and it is now in distress. So when we look at the world and we look at how we react to the world, that distressful feeling you get is an actual reading that your mind is getting, and it's processing through your ego, and the ego is attaching all kinds of reasons and why-fors, and it's going through its whole list of information and bringing forth all of this stuff to give it an identity, to put it in a certain category or a place within our minds. And it's interesting to think and start to become aware of that the ego and the mind are really one of our tools. It's not who we are. The truth of who we are lies deep within our heart. And that's part of what we're trying to do, is we're trying to return home. We're trying to call back who we truly are out of all of this sort of entanglement. Entanglement's a good word. Thank you. I thank my guides for that, because it is an entanglement of energies. It's an entanglement of thought forms. It's an entanglement of people's perceptions. And so we're dwelling in this entangle, much like I'm seeing vines of the jungle back when we were probably the first foot race, and we were here. I'm going to say we landed here, but we were here. However, we arrived, and I'm not going into that. But how we arrived, and the jungles were so dense and thick, and how did we move? And then we finally got out of the jungles and onto the plains, and we felt freer. So this construct of energy is very dense, very constricting. So over time, the ego has developed its own sense of identity. And this identity that it's proclaimed for itself has a problem with love, because it has more power. The ego has more power than it really knows how to handle. And it's now in distress. And this is what we're, part of what I see as a valid part of who we are, and not to be dismissed, and not to be thrown out the window, and not to be attacked, but to be loved. Love the ego back to health. Put it back in its rightful place as a guide, as a warning system, as a tool of survival. But let's bring it back to what its original intention was. It is not about love. It has no concept of love. It cannot ever have a concept of love. And I say this as truth. This is my truth. I say it because this is how I'm learning and developing how to be a blend of my divine human self, divine and human, my hue and my man. I'm bringing it back together. And in that aspect, we have to put the ego not to rest or to dismiss it, but in its proper place as a pilot, as a warning system, as a gatherer of information, so that we can make choices from the heart rather than from the mind, and show us the difference, to take that information it gets and allow us to see it properly, not distorted by others' perceptions or belief systems. I'm off the track a little bit here. That's okay. I go there. That's why I have notes now. I can wander for hours. Okay, so by placing itself in charge of love, and by reducing it to a symbol, this is what the ego has done. It created all sorts of parameters and regulations as to how love is to act, so as not to override the ego's authority and ruling principles. It became in love with itself. This is what we're doing. That we're. Oh, my page is not scrolling. Okay, I guess I can't scroll. This is what happens. I want to see your comments, but then my page locks up, and I apologize. So bear with me. It's all good. It's all perfect. My comment on my notes was, note the similarity with our governments. Okay, and that was, sort of like a dig to see that when there's a hierarchy, and I'm not going to say there's things wrong with hierarchies, because there are some that work, but in this structure that we live in, the hierarchy was, they got to the ego, they got to the collective ego as a government, and those who tapped into that, and they've gone crazy with making rules and regulations, which have no how do I say it? I'd like to say feeling, but they don't anyway. But they have no real perception of what's happening on the ground level. They've reached such a height within its the ego has risen to the point of such an altitude that it no longer sees the ground. It no longer sees humans on the ground. It no longer sees us as love. Governments no longer see us as people. Okay, so this breeds disrespect. This breeds disharmony. And love is the answer to bring it back. And we are the love. And we need to return to that. I think Marianne Williamson wrote a book, Return to Love. If not, it's out there. Anyway, it's about us returning to the love we truly are. And that's that divine principle which has no investment. It's not invested in anything. It exists. It's that which we call creator, God, however you look at supreme oversoul. It's love. That's the energy of it. So love is not just a word. It's harmony. It is harmony and unity. It is more than just an emotional state, and it cannot be given as a gift or bargained for. And those statements came as a result of when I thought of love as how we as humans have manipulated love for those things. We've taken it on and we've used it as a tool. You know, we've bartered, we've made agreements on it, and we've actually used love to our own disadvantage. We think we're, in our mind, we think we're doing wonderful things, but we've actually been using it to our disadvantage. And the ego mind has played a very big role in this because the algorithms and patterning cannot contain love. So this is what the ego mind, the brain, works on. I call it the AI now. I love it, but I call it the AI. It's the artificial intelligence. It's the, navigating system, but it's not who I am. Nor can love be held captive. You can't hold love, and many of us in relationships we've wanted to hold the love and keep it, and it has its own life. It has its own expression, and it's beyond us to contain and control because it's boundless and it's selfless. Okay, and it contains no energy that can be controlled. It's totally autonomous. There is no personality to love. Love is. You are. You are love. Feel it. Own it. Be it. This is the way out of this whole mess. The whole mess on the face of this planet. The only way out is true love. We're being guided by light. We're being empowered by light. But the only way through it is true love. How you express that is your individual choice. This is your individual expression of the truth of who you are. Oh my goodness, I'm at 10:28. But that's okay. So I'll sort of bring this to a rapid close. And if I go a few minutes over, bear with me. It's all good. It's all for the higher purpose of all of us. So my apologies to Humanity Healing for the time overlay, but I'm sure you will forgive me. And just bear with me a few moments, because this was a profound experience for me to write this morning. So this love is all powerful in that it can transmute everything that is not in balance with the human structure. It is not ordinary. It is sacred. And it's needed right now within the third dimension to restore the balance and equilibrium of all forms. Not just humans, not just animals, but trees, rocks, bees. Everything needs to be restored because everything has taken some damage. The collateral damage here is ginormous. I know that's not a word, but maybe it is. I like it anyway. Love is pure potential that is now coming in waves from an ocean of oneness we have long been travelers on. I bring it back to the water because I'm a water being. I've traveled through the universe as water, and I'm here in this planet embodied in water, as have each and every one of you. And we have chosen to travel and be here in this moment. Love is pure potential that is now coming in waves from an ocean of oneness we have long been travelers on. However, we became disoriented and lost at sea. Our navigators have become confused and too proud to admit their errors. So here we are. Each of us are now receiving the love in amounts that will correct our own compasses and guide us either home or to the new earth. And that message came through as I was wrapping this up. And we have done this many times in the courses of humanity, and are not to end up on the shoals of another desolate planet to begin again. We are love, and we always have been, not seeking anything out of a sense of aloneness, but expanding into galaxies and dimensions. This is the water beings we are. Our human experiences are how it is expressing, and we have given our true source of power away because of a short circuit in our ego, which is a wonderful tool in our survival kit, but not who we are. And so with that, I'm complete with this and would say to you, each of you, may the truth shine through and create a new container within your hearts into which love may be stored and poured forth from. I love you all. You're my brothers and sisters in love. And we are love. And we're here to express love. And anything short of that is denying the truth of who we are. And so I just want to leave you with that this morning and bless you, each and every one of you, in your journeys. And I apologize not for being able to read the side thing. And maybe one day I'll have a computer that I can do that with in comfort. And perhaps my sort of ego mind won't allow me to do that anyway. We don't know. We're here together to bless each other and to encourage each other to be the truth of who we are. With that, I'm complete. I send you my peace, my light, and my love. Have a great week. Bye-bye.